I almost feel like this should have been called Castlevania Prelude. Or maybe Overture would be more appropriate. Castlevania on Netflix is out. I was so pumped for this thing. It is pretty much the only video game related adaptation that I've had excitement for since I've been an adult. This was a big deal for me because I love the Castlevania games. I love the look of this thing because it reminded me a great deal of Vampire Hunter D, which I love. I love Warren Ellis, who's writing it. I like the voice cast. Adi Shankar, who's producing it. I find him a guy worth following with what he's up to. So I went into this with pretty high expectations. That didn't quite get met, but maybe I was expecting too much for this first go. I don't think I knew before I actually sitting down to watch it that it was only 4 episodes and they were 22 minutes apiece. I think if I had known that earlier on, and that information might have been out there, maybe I just didn't track it down because I was trying to avoid spoilers, but if I'd known that sooner, I might have adjusted my expectations to what this actually is, which is not really Castlevania the series. It is Castlevania the prologue. So it really is just setting up the situation, the threat, the players, and that's it. By the end of the 4th episode, everything has been set up for the actual storming of Dracula's castle to begin. Now, I'm sure some people are going, why didn't you put up a spoiler warning for that? Because I don't consider it a spoiler to tell people that something that they might have been thinking was going to be coming is not going to be here. Now, things already been renewed for a 2nd season. So we're gonna get what I think a lot of us came in here hoping to get this time around. So it's coming, but it's not this. So, if you consider that a spoiler, fine, consider that a spoiler, and I'm sorry, but I think I wish somebody had given me the heads up to adjust my expectations, because once I get myself into the headspace of what this thing actually is, it's good. It is pretty darn good. I love the style. I love how gothic it is. I love the creature designs, the action when it happens, and this show is not a wall-to-wall action, certainly not in these early days at any rate, but when the action scenes happen, they're really good. They hit hard, they are gory, and just the impacts hurt. And we get a couple of really good fight sequences. We get a couple with humans. We get one really good one with a monster, and there's some other monster action later on. And it's a lot of fun. Cast is pretty solid too. The main one that I came away really liking, I think it's important that I like him, is Trevor Belmont, who is voiced by Richard Armitage, and I think he definitely does a really good job of doing that, that reluctant hero thing. Like, he knows this is his duty, it's his family's legacy, but he kind of doesn't wanna, but he kind of knows he has to. It's that balance, it's that reluctance to get involved, and it's not exactly groundbreaking, it's not atypical, but it is embodied well by the character, and he voices it quite well. I like how much emphasis was put early on us getting basically an understanding of why Dracula is the threat that he is. And if there's one takeaway from that first episode especially, it should be never piss off Dracula. Like, ever. And we get a few other characters. We get a bit of history on sort of this nomadic group of, they're not really religious, but they're an order of kind of mystics called the Speakers who are trying to help. We get some background on them. One of their members sort of teams up with Trevor. And like I said, we get a look at Dracula himself. We get some time with the character of Lisa, who's pretty important. She's not around a long time, but she's pretty important. And a few other things. And I'm not going to say who else is involved. I mean, you look at IMDb, you know what other characters show up. But I think that's the thing. Anyone familiar with Castlevania lore is going to call pretty much everything that's going to happen in this. Not that it's like going point for point with the mythology of the show. It's not a direct recreation. But if you look at the cast list on IMDb or whatever, and you know what characters are showing up, you can pretty much figure out where this thing's going for these first 4 episodes really easily. Doesn't mean it's not fun to watch it happen. And thank goodness, too, because if the action hadn't been impactful and the characters, especially Trevor, hadn't been enjoyable to be around, this could have been a real slog of an opening 4 episodes. And it's not. It doesn't blow me away, but it does set up a setting, a world, an atmosphere, and characters that I believe could blow me away in follow-up episodes. So it really does serve as an appetizer for what is going to come later. And as a setup, it's a solid setup. I am happy with what I see, and I cannot wait for what comes next. And I wish I knew how long that was going to be. I think it was a good idea. This is well worth binging. Just burn through all 4 episodes at a go. They don't really stand on their own. I mean, they are broken up. You where the breaks are makes sense and everything, but it's about the length of a movie. Just burn through it in one go. I think anyone who enjoys gothic anime or gothic stylings and monsters and settings and is appreciative of anime style animation is going to enjoy it. I think anyone who likes Castlevania is going to enjoy it. Just, as I said, temper your expectations for how far along this is actually going to get, because this is really just setup. This is just appetizer stuff. Main course will be down the road, and it's gonna be pretty tasty if this opening is any indication. So those are my thoughts on Castlevania on Netflix. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check me out on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Give a listen to the Council of Geeks podcast, available on iTunes and Stitcher. I'm also one half of the Punch Like a Girl podcast, also available on iTunes and Stitcher. So until next time, this council is adjourned.